Yep. So we'll just go back to your progression through the mining industry to where you are now.
Yeah, I started as an operator in the mines down in Wollongong, and decided to do some study and studied and managed to get through to the manager level and travelled through Queensland and New South Wales working at different operations, and until we started our LD operations in 2005.
How have you seen the industry change throughout that time? What's the single biggest change you would say you've seen in the industry?
Probably the single biggest change is the commitment to safety, and I think that's the biggest focus and the biggest change.
And is that your biggest focus here at LDO?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. People and safety is the biggest focus.
And what are the biggest things that you've implemented, say in the last 5 years that's really focused on that?
Probably the main focus that we have in regards to safety is trying to give power to the people. We tell everyone working with us that they have authority, and they do have authority for their own workplace, and they can stop work at any time. If people can't tell them why something is safe, then it's not safe.
And how have you seen, during your 30 years in the industry, how have you seen the attitude towards coal mining specifically change, both inside the industry and from outside the industry?
Well, certainly inside the industry, I think it's still very much the same. But from outside the industry, there's no doubt that people don't look at coal mines the way they used to, which is a shame.
Do you think that people have gotten a little bit caught up in the hysteria of climate change and how coal is contributing to that?
I think there's certainly some of that. I think it's also much the same as everything else in the world. We have to learn to work together, and coal is still a critical component throughout the world, and it can coexist, in my opinion, and it can work in with the environment.
Okay, so what do you think is the biggest problem that's currently facing the mining industry?
Perception. The perception of the mining industry is certainly the biggest issue at the moment. Well, people both in the media and throughout the paper and electronic media have got a view that the coal is dirty, that it's not a commodity that they want, and it's certainly my opinion that it still is a critical component throughout the world. And I think that's one of the biggest factors that we have to learn to be able to work with people.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously the skills shortage is, like you said, it's a massive employer, but the skills shortage is something that's continually getting more and more dire for the mining industry. How do you think that the industry can overcome that?
Well, we have to continue to train. And it's something that we just need to keep growing and invest in training.
How about the moratorium on all new coal mining in New South Wales that was announced recently? What do you think of those kinds of things?
Well, I support any investigation into what has to happen. We do have to ensure that we fit in. We do have to ensure that we do the right thing by the environment, and we do have to ensure that we look after the employment needs of Australia. And so if there is investigations to be carried out on how we coexist, I support those.
So speaking of some of the coexisting, can you just tell us what the latest is with your projects in the Margaret River region?
Yeah, we've lodged an appeal against the EPA report, and that's sitting now with the Minister for Environment, or the appeals convener.
So what is your appeal based on?
Well, we don't believe that the information that's before the Minister at the moment, or before the EPA, supported their decision and their report. They sought information from 9 government departments, and every government department mentioned that stated that they needed more information. We believe that that's the case. We need more information, and the only way to do that is through a full PER process, and including a social impact assessment to see whether or not the project can be a benefit to the South West region.
Some of the anti-coal people in that region have accused LDO of ignoring environmental restrictions. What's your reaction to those kinds of comments?
Well, we haven't at all. We've never ignored any environmental restriction. We've certainly always said that we'll work within the boundaries, and we don't have an actual appeal. We don't have an application for a coal mine at this stage. Under WA regulations, you go to a referral document to set the level of assessment, and that is the stage that we're at.
Is that part of the problem sometimes? Is like you said, you haven't even gotten to the official part of the process yet. Like, people sometimes don't understand the process before they start reporting on it, which creates a bit of hysteria amongst communities. Is that part of the problem? People don't completely understand the processes?
I think the process isn't fully understood in WA at this stage, and, and the process changed halfway through the application. So there are a lot of things that are new in the way the process is being run, and I think there's no doubt that a lot of people don't realise that we don't actually have an application for a coal mine. We're a long way from having all information required for that.
Well, I know Colin Barnett said recently that, WA Premier said that even if the official approvals are given, he will never allow any mining in the Margaret River. What do you think of those kinds of comments?
Well, I'm not sure that that's exactly what he said. What he said is that he'd have to have a very good reason to put Margaret River at risk, and we support that.
Yeah.
We have asked to do studies to see whether or not the mine can coexist, and we support that.
So what's next for LDO? What's next on the big agenda?
Well, certainly we're wanting to continue to grow. We have a ownership stake in Chain Valley, and we certainly enjoy working within our own coal mines, but it's something that will continue to grow.